Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q3 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Fight Ramen. Class is in session.
Hey there guys, welcome back to another video with yours truly, Paul Reissmann, teaching assistant here at Ruler School TCG. I'm talking to you today about Zacky in lieu of a deck profile, because my Zacky deck, we got it on camera. There's a lot of things going on with that deck. There are things that I liked about it and things I didn't like about it. And so today, instead of doing a normal deck profile, I figured let's just talk about whatever is going on with this ruler. This ruler is so interesting to me. I love her in terms of what she is trying to do with her alternative win con. And there's generally some really good stuff going on with this ruler that I really love about the Sacred Ruins. So this set is really interesting to me. I think Zacky's an interesting ruler. Let's just jump right into what she is doing. She is trying to find clues. If she finds 20 clues, you can flip her and pay blue for a God's Art and just win the game, because she found all the clues, which means she solved the case. That's what the game is now. It's not Force of Will, it's Force of Clues. I don't know. We're playing Blue's Clues. That's what we're doing with this deck, right? You can play make the judgment cost occur when she is rested, which is interesting. I think it's very, 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 very fascinating in that way. You can also get the mulligan twice. Very powerful effect. We've seen this with Feasting in the past with mulligan 3. They nerfed it down to mulligan 2, -1. This is just a straight mulligan 2, -0. Right? It's pretty good. And your investigation cards can be played as though they had quick cast, which helps you skirt around things like Fair Spell. Most importantly, within the set, Goliath's tax that he gets from his extension rule, which is not really relevant in the metagame currently, but if you're playing at locals, that might be relevant. So just be aware. This is a really good way of skirting around that. Now, we need to talk about the quality of some of Zacky's cards. Clearly, not every card is going to be good, but in terms of what they're trying to do within the deck itself, let's talk about this. So, by far, the best card in the deck is Shiitake. He is Investigate 2, and he produces a blue, and he's basically got Super Barrier as long as he's recovered. So he's very good for that. Doesn't have a lot of really good stats, but he's really good. You're probably only going to use him in this particular deck. Probably not going to use him generically in other blue decks, but he's helpful, right? He's very, very good. Probably the best card in the deck. Maybe the next best card in the deck is the Student Detective League's Assistant. If you have revealed cards, you can tap this under solo mode to put that card on the bottom of the deck and get a water clue. She also has Investigate. So when you play her under Zacky, you're getting another clue. Very helpful. Very, very, very helpful. With Morgana on the field, you get 2 clues, because Morgana says, if with an exclusive interview, once per turn, if you play a card with Investigate, you gain a water clue. Very helpful. This only happens once per turn, and this triggers only once per player. That's relevant, I guess, in the mirror match, but if you're playing the Zacky mirror match, what's going on? Like, you did that intentionally. This did not happen in the competitive environment. Morgana is also interesting because you can create a loop with multiple copies of her, right? So the way that Mythic works now is if this card would enter the field by rules process, this card gets moved to the graveyard instead of a trigger instead. So you can put her onto the chase. Another copy of her and Zacky will see that she is a resonator with Investigate. You will gain 2 water clues, and then you have the ability to chase. By banishing a clue, you can put her back in your hand, and you foresee 2 as a result, and you create this loop, this foresee loop, which is really kind of interesting. If you have enough of the water clues, if you have 12 or more, she will gain +5/+5, becoming an 11/12 natively. Very, very powerful in a sense that she just becomes this 2-drop big statted creature. Very helpful. Not amazing, but helpful nonetheless. Probably the best addition in the game for this particular ruler is Super Secret Basement. This gives all of your Investigate cards +1 to their Investigate. So if you have a 1, it becomes a 2. If you have Investigate 0, it becomes an Investigate 1. Can actually be really helpful. It can shuffle investigate cards from your hand back into the deck, and you gain a water clue as a result, so it can help you chain water clues as a result, and then it can also shuffle things from your graveyard back into the deck. Really helpful as well. At the beginning of the game, though, you can just play this card for free, and you can play multiples of it for free if you have Zacky, which, you know, frankly, can be really useful. So if you're drawing a bunch of cards and you have cards in your hand that you don't want, for instance, you do not want your Student Detective League's assistant in your hand. You want that in the deck, so it costs less when you investigate and play it for one. It's really helpful when you see that at the start of your recovery phase to play this card as though it had quick cast by using shiitake to produce the mana to make it happen. Very, very, very helpful. The way that the recovery phase works is that at the beginning of the recovery phase, your investigates will happen. So you will see 1, 2, 3 cards off the top of your deck, but because your recovery fully resolves at the end of the recovery phase, there's a window of opportunity for you to use all of your mana, float all of your mana to get free cards onto the field. Very helpful, right? So it's even more the case with Investigate. And then at the end of that, all of your cards recover, and then you're in a situation in which your next Investigate, you'll be able to do that at the start of your next turn as well. It's very, very helpful the way that Investigate works. So getting more cards seen, and certainly more investigations with Super Secret Basement, very, very helpful. Irrefutable Evidence, also a very good card. If it's revealed, you gain a clue and you draw a card, right? If you have 10 or more, you draw 2. If you have 15 or more, you draw 2, and you shuffle this card back into the deck so you can keep using it. This card, to me, feels like one of the pivotal cards in the deck, probably one of the mainstay cards of the deck. But so is Elementary, My Dear Morgana. This is kind of like a investigate that happens sooner, right? So you don't have to wait till the next investigate trigger to happen at the start of the recovery phase. You just get the top card. Can be really helpful, right? But it also investigates too. So this is kind of like your Loki enters the game of gods, but for this deck. That's how this card feels to me. You'll notice though that some of the pivotal cards in the deck are chance, which means they get taxed by mask. Not great. So what do we do instead? Well, sometimes we have resonators that can investigate for you as well and do some sort of stun effects to your opponent. These to me though do not feel very good. Even though they have somewhat decent effects, their stats are really low, so they're 3/5s, right? So the cop is very much that way. It makes it so that your opponent and you can only play one resonator or one non-resonator per turn. Not that great. Stop in the name of the law is a thing. This card having this effect to me doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Players cannot play spells or non-will activate abilities until end of turn. Play this ability only during your opponent's main phase and only if your opponent has played one or more spells or non-will activate abilities this turn. So I'm preventing you from doing more activate abilities, right? Because my other effects prevent you from playing other cards. So feels a little unnecessary, right? This card does not feel very strong to me, even though it has a relatively, theoretically, very strong effect. Same thing with the Crossing Guard unit. You have to target this card if able, right? That's Lightning Rod Mermaid without Barrier. So both of these cards have Protect, so maybe they're useful. To me, they don't seem very useful. They're 3/5s. They're not doing a lot. I don't want to swing with them. I want to use them to use their Protect ability. Protect doesn't seem that strong right now. Zacky's New Plan. Theoretically, also a very strong card. But I'm finding in this particular deck that maybe one copy is at most what you want. It does shuffle itself back in. But if it's in your hand, it doesn't really feel good to play because most of the time you're paying 3 for it. In the event that you were expelling a water card to activate its effect for free, you're doing so with the understanding that something is targeting your stuff that's a non-resonator spell, right? Maybe this is more helpful in the combo version, but in the resonator version, it's not very good at all. What is really good is regrouping at Zacky's. Once you hit 10 clues, your opponent has a lingering floodgate effect for the rest of the game because they can only attack with one thing. That seems pretty good. Once you get to 15, you get to start drawing additional cards and gaining additional clues. also seems really good. This card seems great, especially if you're able to play this under the Super Secret Basement, right? Because then it starts to investigate for you. It has Investigate 0. You can also shuffle it back into the deck too if you really need to. So that's really helpful to have the Investigate 0 piece, even if it doesn't actually get you anything. So you're trying to get clues. That seems to be the win con of the deck. Are you trying to turn skip? I don't know. The chant cost of this being 3, under mask being 4, even though you're playing 2 less to play this card and it's untouchable, seems too steep. I do not think this card, I think this card is a distraction. When your opponent has mask, this card already feels pretty bad, but then it feels even worse under mask. So I don't think you play this card. What you do, I think, play is cards that can shuffle, but also act as defense. Thunder Parasol is very good for that. It shuffles things back into the deck. You're going to have a lot of cards in your hand. This card is very useful for that. Same with Aspiring Diva. You're going to be able to add one of those chants in the combo variant to your hand and then do things with them, right? Same with Water Wizard. I think this is maybe like a secondary option if you don't have Aspiring Divas, or if you're just like, I want to play something funky. This is like a reusable Aspiring Diva. It's really useful, produces additional mana. It's a mana dork in blue, really helpful. I don't like Arthur. Sorry, Jer. I don't like Arthur. He needed me to play this card. I tried to play it and never cast it once. Sphinx. I think Sphinx is probably useful in the deck, right? The deck needs pressure. If the deck doesn't have a primary win condition, which, this is not a primary win condition, it's way too slow. Let's just be clear. Sphinx is probably the next best option. Or Electra. Just play a red version, right? Play red. Just burn. Probably, right? And if you're like swinging and your opponent is on defense, that seems pretty good. Put some pressure on your opponent. Otherwise, you could play the Institute version. If you're going to, insist on playing Resonators, I think Institute is probably the way to go because you are then in more good control colors that work well together. Plus, you're working with cards like Destructive Assault because you're in green, Maribel as well, and maybe Percival's if you're in the combo variant as well, but probably in the Resonator version, you're playing Maribel's and you're playing Destructive Assault. I think these cards are really good answers to Mask, or in the event that your opponent's playing some really good additions, this is really good as well, right? So there's something going on with this deck. I don't know what it is. There's something here. It's just not crossing the threshold yet because I haven't found the combination of cards to make it work. In this way, it feels very much like Utsune's, very much like Lucy. So, deck is complicated. I don't think the deck is lost. Hopefully we'll feature it again on the channel sometime in the future. But let me know what you guys think about this deck down in the comment section down below. Is Zacky a distraction? Is she just a bad ruler? Is she something under the radar? Does she have really good effects that just haven't been well utilized yet? You let me know. There's a lot of really good generic support cards in here, as you can see. You can pause the video and just look through all of them. Some of them were just really, really good blue cards, right? So what's going on with Zacky? I'm not entirely sure. There's some good things happening with her. Hopefully we can feature on the channel once again. If you guys have a deck list or ideas, let me know down in the comment section down below. I'm definitely crowdsourcing this at this point. So let me know what you all think. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the #1 Force of Will YouTube channel on YouTube. So you should definitely subscribe and ring that bell so you get more content like this. If you liked the video, give us a like. If you didn't like the video, also just, give us a dislike. That's okay too. Just let us know. And we can do something a little bit different in the future with decks and deck profiles like this one. So let me know what you guys think. And until next time, guys, this has been Paul saying class is dismissed.